kunenzera temasoja sekuzibatana zote terera emtemo yose nenzera takanaka.
1980 marked the end of the war. To most war veterans, they could not believe it because it was understood amongst us that we were fighting a very long war. And that long war had benchmarks. We needed to achieve the political independence first. Not first, but political independence, then economic independence. On the drawing board, war veterans expected themselves to come from the bush to the office. But that did not happen because surprisingly we had, because I was on the forefront, we heard of the development that invited our leadership to a conference in London at Lancaster. It was a welcomed event, but all the same we were skeptical because all war veterans knew the machinations or the character of the enemy we were fighting with, that he can use any other tactic other than military to stop the war or to ultimately be victors instead of being people who are defeated. So when we got into assembly points, all war veterans were surprised and were alive to the fact that the enemy really did not want us to be in assembly points in order to achieve a political development that would lead to independence, but that it was militarily meant, or it was a strategy to totally destroy war veterans from the assembly points. Because all assembly points militarily, so that when they come militarily, we would have nowhere to go. We were also given white garments to put on so that we remain reflective as they would attack us. We are alive to that. But this becomes true in that Peter Walsh himself did not believe that Africans were taking over. But I think the British had strategically adopted a political position that Zimbabwe had to be independent, but that they had their own way of fighting the war, other than sacrificing their kith and kin in the war. All they needed to do was to have a political leader who would protect their interests, who would not be too keen to change their social and economic status quo. And the war veterans, every war veteran is aware. What I'm talking about would be testimony of what happened then, thereafter. Because what we are supposed to achieve for ourselves and for the masses were enshrined in the principles of the revolution. But we're also alive to the fact that a revolution is not an event. It is a process. So the party had to start from somewhere. And so we accepted that independence, the coming of the independence, was necessary in that we have achieved political independence. But political independence would then require an economic structure. And that economic structure must be capable of delivering to the doorstep of the ordinary men a fair share of the national cake. In other words, people of Zimbabwe, the ordinary man, not the fighter, would enjoy life if the matrix, the political matrix and the economic matrix would allow him or her to exploit the natural resources as designed or as designed by the political structure. That required the initial principles of the revolution, which dictated to us or which taught us that we needed to hear what the people have, what problems the people have socially and economically, and then address them through the party, with party being superior to government. Comrade, each time at independence, every war veteran is seized with the numerous memories of the ruthlessness of the war. Going to Mozambique, going for the revolution, going to Zambia, getting trained and coming back was not easy. It meant a lot of personal sacrifice, because it is about life, my life. Everyone has a life. So, one enemy that is never forgotten by every war veteran is a hunger. We could go for any periods necessary without food, or very little food just to keep you breathing. When people talk of meals today politically and think that it is a claim from this government, I think it's not fair, because those who fought for war, who fought during the struggle, would not have breakfast. We almost deleted in our mind that there is breakfast. We almost deleted that there is dinner. So hunger became an enemy to an extent of claiming lives. And the people of this country do not care. Especially when there are people who do not recognize that this event took place and that people died, and sort of invite people from outside or our own enemies to come and repeat the same gruesome, cruel activities against our people. There should be a law in this country that must forbid anybody to plan against this nation. This nation has lost a lot of wealth to bring about this independence. The value in monetary terms that the ordinary man, the ordinary villager, paid in order to have independence in 1980. Yakawanda Mario. They also lost their own properties. They also lost their own relatives. The second enemy was disease. That's not if you get sick, or it was too little to cover the population. So diseases claimed a lot of people. In most of our camps, especially the initial camps, I don't want to call them refugee camps because apana refugee because it was a military camp. It is the military code that administers my camps here. In Zambia and in Mozambique, it was the same. So diseases vanhu vakafa. You would go kunoiga vanhu 12, 15 a day because of diseases. Vasikana, I think we still need to consider them and do something about it, because we lost a lot of them. And there were many diseases ukuthi vanasikana vakamira kuenda kunguva dzavo, because nature itself was falling short of what is required kuti mukadzi anzi mukadzi. And surely ichocho chikatorwa, if it is taken away from a woman, from a human being, then we have deprived somebody of a right, personal right. Some of them, as we speak, when they came back, could not have children. They still have no children. And who would want that? And you find in this country a human being, part of the population, claiming to want to share power, that political power that the people of Zimbabwe paid. Kwete ne mari, ne mungu. Independence also reminds me of the brutal raids that was done by the Smith regime. Remember, Zanla and the Zipra, of course, became a formidable force, but we did not start big. We started very small. That's why you start with the 7 heroes at independence, at Chinoi. There were very few. So we started from next to nothing to something. We developed it to become an army. And Smith would bring, all the superior weapons that they had to come and fight unarmed young people. And they killed thousands and never care. Today people talk of 5 or 2 killed by anybody anywhere. Why is there no value to the life of a war veteran? Who is alive or who is dead? Who is dead is a symbol. Ndo V11 yokuti hondo yakarwiwa. Ndo V11 that we got the power not on a silver platter, but that we paid for it. Ne life. Young people forwent their education. Vakaregera kuenda kuchikoro. In the battlefront, I also am reminded of the difficulty of fighting the enemy. The enemy was strong, but we were guerrillas. We employed strategies that would ever overcome or defeat any army, no matter how big. And these battles, sometimes we would lose, my comrades. Ari pauri apa, opfurwa wakatarisa. And he tells you, comrade, chitsidzo chatakapana ndechekuti tisati tauya mufrani ndechekuti pamberi nehondo. And the comrade is shot, and he tells me, comrade, he tells you, comrade, tora pfuti iyi uende nayo. Unopa mumwe atore pfuti iyoyo. Inini undisiye panapa. Mupfurire mberi until independence. And the people of this country somehow forget. Somehow do not say kind words, do not have kind words to war veterans. They think their lives have no value or do not have the same value in life here. I think we need to rethink. In heaven, there is a God, and He loves all people. At the independence, we are reminded the brutality that our people were subjected to mourn. If we fight them, if we plan a battle and we fight, we become very successful, and a lot of them died, they would not look for us. They would go to Povu Marine and kill an ordinary Zimbabwean for fighting or supporting the war in the manner that this country belongs to the black men of this country. No white man would ever claim that he's a Zimbabwean. They came here, it is known. So it's not right. And all this was done all for freedom. ZANU PF fought this war, but it did not capitalize on it. It did not monopolize. It created an open space. It created a democratic space for everyone to participate. But it's important for anyone who wants to be a leader of this country to take this value and be able to implement the principles of the revolution. I think credit should go to the Second Republic. Because the First Republic, really, I'm suspicious, had people who were working for the enemy whom we were fighting. The new dispensation, the new republic, has opened its arms, has created the secretariat, He has welcomed the war veterans. The new dispensation is all about revising the principles of the revolution, trying to address the people's social and economic demands. That's where we are going. The president is clear on the way we need to do business. The president is clear on how we should go down to the people and recharge our batteries again. He has instructed leadership of the party to go down to the people and hear from the people and make policies on the demands of the people. So until that happens, it will be difficult for us to put the revolution back on rail. The other impediment that the new dispensation is facing are people who are in the civil service, who are not revolutionaries themselves, who have been born and bred and gone to schools that promote the opposite of the demands of the people. And the government of the government of the day is trying to align that. The president and his team are trying to align that. There will never be a time if people of Zimbabwe were to be advised. They need to give this government, this new dispensation, an opportunity to implement the principles that they have. We will get somewhere in trying to achieve our demands as a people. Young people are found everywhere in mining. Young people are found in farming. Schools have been built, universities have been built, and the president continues to add more value to these things, and this should assist the people. And one other thing that is very important is to ensure that no man should survive in here, either in town or elsewhere, without producing for himself and the surplus going to the people. There are people who are everywhere here in town who are not doing anything. We don't need them. They need to go out there and produce, at least produce something, because that will become an important input to the national GDP. Because everybody will have produced something. That is not production. Everybody has got to produce, and the president is saying production, production, production. Our streets were cleared of people who are just loitering, waking up in the morning. So really, I think it is important to do so. The new dispensation is also very adamant in the promotion of agriculture, because agriculture ndo musana we economy in Zimbabwe. You can hear what the Minister of Lands is saying each time he finds an opportunity to say something on television. He wants to see production, production, production. This is what we should be doing. And I think we are going somewhere with the efforts that are being put in place by the new dispensation. I must thank the President, Comrade Cde Mnangagwa, for creating a political arm for the war veterans, which is popularly known as the War Veterans League, or Veterans of the Liberation League of the War Veterans, whatever you want to call it. Today would have not arrived if there was no yesterday, and they would never have tomorrow. So this is a formula of life. It is important for people of Zimbabwe, for the young people, to swallow their pride and take the experience and take the ideas that the founders of this nation have in order to proceed tomorrow. So it is the principle that is important, and they continue modifying it from time to time. What we have as an input from young people on these principles of social and economic development is the youthful dynamism that they have. That should harmoniously be incorporated in the social and economic development of this nation, and we will always succeed. The older generation has done that. Our youthful dynamism brought to the doorstep of Zimbabwe, of every Zimbabwean, independence. And until the young people consider the thesis that is unwritten, which is in the war veterans' head, they will not be able to find the principles upon which they should be able to develop their nation for tomorrow, for the next generation. The young people must sit down, must borrow from the war veterans as we speak, and be able to have the principles and incorporate their youthful dynamism to produce for the nation in mining, in agriculture, in the tertiary industry, and everywhere else. But without a principle, you can't. So what we have in our head before we die, we need to give it to the young people, employ them. So the Youth League and the War Veterans League and the Women's League must all work together, must all be found together in order to borrow from one another and be able to produce a product that is much needed by the ordinary man.